cast you out for your forbidden pursuits. Your twisted necromancy ends here, at the end of a noose. Speak your last! What? The witch is escaping!
I will not join the dead today.
By the first ones! You're alive!
I'm glad. I would appreciate it if you could... Reach, clear, fell. Find.
The dead rise again. Oh, I'm going to like it here. This oozes darkness. I welcome it. The miller, I presume. I just found my path to power. Creation. A taste of true power. Impressive size, but little acuity. Dismal.
Elton, please come.
Is this all that remains?
Renly's. There's a beast that... Now, if you could channel your violence against this devourer, as Finn calls it, we'd be indebted to you. What would you like? Go well.
A kind leader. Hopefully he survives. This half-wit is in need of rescuing.
Thanks for the help. Name's Farah. Ah.
Ay, 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 ay.
Death grants power. Emerge!
I swear this camp is always in the last place I check. One of these days I'm going to learn all these layouts.
Well, well. Who is this that adorns the Tree of Souls? Master.
Yo, Herbinator, how's it going, buddy?
Mushrooms everywhere.
No, what happened? What happened? Someone get me a clip. I'm guessing today something went wrong or some shit. Yo, Big Nazi, what's up, buddy? So I'm guessing he started a stream, his mic was busted and he melted everyone's ears or something. Oh shit, is it safe to play this? From a sound point of view? Oh, because he live streamed, that's right. So the IRL stream pretty much ended as soon as it started, did it? Oh no. Surely he would have tested it before he went to the event. Surely. Oh shit. Did he stream any of the Swords gameplay? I'd be interested to watch that later if you did. Makes sense. He'll be able to tell us later on stream, I'd imagine, or is there some... Like, there wouldn't be any NDA kind of stuff that you would... I'm sure they're allowed to talk about it at least after. I'm experimenting with stuff in Act 1 because there's a middle period for the cemetery bosses, which always is a bit annoying with the physical spell setup. And I'm trying to see if there's something that we can do with like skeletal snipers or minions just to help smooth out that transition. Does this work on Chaos Bolt? You don't get Living Lightning until early, like the first zone of Act 2. But I'm thinking about testing out some stuff with... Because there's a lot of... So there's two things I want to test out. The first one is smoothing out Act 1 because... Like, by far, ironically, or unironically, the hardest part of Infernalist demon form leveling is literally the two cemetery, or the three cemetery bosses, the two in the crypts and Lachlan. And the best thing I've been able to do thus far is to always just, at least as a backup, get the lightning bolt staff. But that still takes a while, and it feels a little bit clunky having to specifically get a staff. Everything after that is smooth sailing and you breeze through. I do know the skeletal snipers with the poison bomb, if you ignite that, that I know does huge damage. So I want to experiment a little bit with that. But it'd be nice to be able to do that without having to get Flame Wall as well. So there's that. The second thing is, with the pathing that I take on the Infernalist builds that I do, I always kind of go up through here, get Wild Surge, down through here, up through there. And the interesting thing about that is there's quite a few minion nodes through there. So there's like, there's a cluster here, there's some stuff here. There's especially some very good companion and minion nodes here and here. And I typically take Wolfpack in Act 3 as well. And like these minion nodes are pretty good as well. Like you get damage to yourself. So I'm thinking of doing like some sort of physical minion hybrid with the wolves as well. Like companions in presence get onslaught while you're shapeshifted could be very interesting. So there's some stuff I want to test around with all of that. Oh, so the skeletal archers can ignite it themselves, can they? We use Living Lightning irrespectively when we level with the Infernalist. Always. It's your most consistent and reliable source of minions for consuming impales throughout the campaign. And it just synergizes so well with the plants build because you can just slap it on Thunderstorm. You don't even have to put it on Bone Storm. The builds that put it on Bone Storms don't use a Thunder ability. They're typically pure physical, or they're the EDC / Bone Storm kind of hybrid builds, which are probably the most popular. So they don't typically, unless they run Orb of Storms, they don't have Thunder. So they'll put Gainer's Lightning on their wand or staff for their rune choice. And then they put the Living Lightning on the Bone Storm. But that's a waste. If you've got a Thunder-based, a Lightning-based spell, it makes more sense to put it on there and put a damage support onto the Bone Storm. It's much higher value. The other thing with Living Lightning, why it's so good, is also it synergizes with this notable Empowering Remains, which is a massive damage buff. And it's exactly in the path of where we go anyway for plants. But the thing is, Living Lightning, ever since it got buffed in, I think it was 0.4 or 0.5 to scale properly with the level of spell, actually does quite a bit of damage itself. And like I said, there's these kind of minion hybrid nodes which may be worth leaning into and buffing the Living Lightning a little bit more than we normally do. Yo, Gaffo! Yep. Oh, let's be honest, everyone knew Swords is coming in 1.0. Like, that shouldn't surprise anyone. Yeah, Living Lightning only procs when the skill does lightning damage. So if you put on a lightning spell, it'll always proc. I always put it on Thunderstorm. The way it works on the Bone Storm is you need to put in the lightning rune, which gives you a source of gain lightning damage. And if you put that on your wand, then any other spell will technically do lightning damage as well. I think we will get the two remaining, the Ranger and the Druid Ascendancy in 0.55. I reckon they will want to finish off the current classes before they release 1.0. So skeletal snipers die pretty quick, so I wonder if it was worth putting on the fire attunement onto my chaos bolt so that I can do the ignite, and then whenever the skeletal sniper comes up, the whole point of this is to experiment, so let's give this a go. I'll even try it on this boss.
What a beautiful monstrosity.
Oh my god, that's going to take a while to ignite him, isn't it?
Infection.
Then again, it is a boss. Does the fire tumor do more on the skeletal sniper? Like, this this is never going to ignite the boss. So they can balance them properly. Yeah, I reckon they will want to finish off the current classes so that when 1.0 rolls around, they don't have to balance them anymore.
It's a pity to end.
I reckon they want to have what they've got in the game at the moment finished. Yeah, I know Volcano. Volcano is another one that I've toyed around with. Volcano Frost Bomb I know is very strong combination, but it kind of... Firstly, I'm not a fan of Volcano, and secondly, it kind of thematically feels a little bit off, like using elemental skills in a physical build. But then again, if I do this sniper thing, I probably need to pick up this flame wall and do probably this boss. So I know with the flame wall, the bomb synergizes, the gas arrow synergizes really well. Yeah, look, I always get through it just simply getting the Thunderbolt staff and doing those bosses with the Thunderbolt. So it's just about, look, I've got nothing else to do while we wait for 0.55. So if I can knock off 5-10 minutes and smooth out the progression through those 3 or 4 bosses, the middle bosses in Act 1, then it's a win. Like, I do know I can take this. Oh god, what am I doing? The thing is, in order to guarantee that flame wall, I would need to do that boss, which is, again, a 1 or 2 minute delay.
Blood, bones,
The clunky thing with the snipers as well is they die super quick.
abundance.
Maybe I do just do Volcano for the bosses.
Impudent undead.
Does Sork get a lightning staff? Well, we can't go Sork because we want to go a witch. So it's not an option. Because you can't switch from witch to from Sork to witch later on. Second guessing this snipe. What else? Because snipers could. We just put in snipers for the corrosion on the gas arrow itself, just for the armor break, and then just rely on the bone cage, which I'm doing anyway. That's a choice. Hey, Jack. Doing good. Doing some kind of experimentation and theory crafting around optimizing some of these leveling ideas. I kind of want to smooth out the middle bosses in Act 1, and then I want to also experiment with maybe buffing Living Lightning and Wolf Pack minions in about the Act 3 point with like these nodes here. And potentially these 2 here, and maybe this as well. since we kind of path through this area anyway. I'm going to restart this. Still might do skeletal snipers, although I'll try maybe corrosion for early armor break. And just try and do the bosses with bone cage, which is my primary map clear. And just see how that feels.
Foul witch! Your very own... What? The witch is escaped!
I will not join the dead.
What's the benefit of armor break again? Fully broken armor is what, 20% more physical damage, I think? I think I might buy the bullet and use the brutality support on the bone cage as well.
The dead rise again.
Although I typically avoid it because it tends not to have much follow-on use. So the thing you have to be mindful of, brutality cancels out all elemental sources of damage. And if you happen to get a wand or a staff with like 15-20% gain damage as fire, you know, or something like of that order,
I welcome it.
many people don't realize is that that's a pretty significant damage boost early on. And brutality completely cancels it out. So you may be thinking you're getting a 25% damage boost from brutality, but if it's cancelling out a 20% gain as fire, for instance, you practically end up only with about like a 5% damage gain. Yo, P. Callie. Yeah, brutality. Well, brutality isn't bad. It's a fantastic support early on, but, and a big but, as long as you don't have a source of gain elemental damage on your weapon. Because the only thing comparable to it early on is Zenith. But Zenith can be quite awkward to maintain the damage gain for, because mana regen is a bit of a, or mana sustain can be a bit tricky early on. Because you have to keep your mana above 90 and you don't realize, like, literally, like, that will be like less than 90 and you're getting no benefit from your Zenith.
Please come inside.
But I'm wondering if I do bite the bullet and go to brutality
Friendlies then.
with the typical spell cascade
Power stalking us out in the valley. It moves unseen under the dirt.
and get corrosion also on a sniper.
Unable to corner and now if you could channel your violence against this devourer.
Maybe even get armor break on
Do ya?
skeletal warriors and just really lean into armor break for the boss fights early on. Maybe. No, we'll see how it feels. It's, like I said, that's the whole point.
A kind leader. Hopefully he survives.
EDC Contagion is very strong. I'll never dispute it. I just
I've collected these over
played it a lot back in the day and just don't want to play it anymore.
Goodbye.
I just prefer plants. And the thing is, plants after about the halfway point of Act 1, even with the bone cage usage in Act 1 and early Act 2, is super smooth. Once you get bone cage up and running, and especially once you get Bone Storm, the whole campaign becomes pretty much a joke. It's just those kind of that middle portion of Act 1, which is very... Ugh. Yeah, I'm not a fan of EDC. From a playstyle point of view, it's kind of... Bit old news to me. It is very strong though, don't get me wrong, it's very, very strong. Geez, I wonder if another play is potentially... Nah, surely not. Can't do basic attacks in like a talisman bear form or something like that. I don't think that's too viable. Yeah, exactly, Goldhand. Draven, whatever his wifey name is, the two crypt bosses, and Lachlan. Those three especially are just super awkward with Bone Cage at that point in time. All three of those bosses are relatively awkward to... Because with Bone Cage, you need to get into their face, and all three of them hit quite hard. And they're just very awkward boss fights. If you happen to get super lucky and get like a +2 physical wand or something like that, it's obviously fine. But you can't rely on that. Oh god, I'm like, why am I not contaging? Don't have it on my cot bar.
Thanks for the help. Name's
Yeah, so it'd be nice to get Bone Cage working consistently, assuming a shit weapon as well.
Good on you.
I do tend to grab Pounce for the mobility, but it may be worth an idea for the damage boost as well, because if I do plan on potentially running the Rattling Scepter with a couple of minions early on, then the damage boost from the Pounce actually scales with the amount of minions you have, so it may be an idea as well. The only thing is getting the skill gem for it, because I don't think there are any... Is there any guaranteed skill gems between the Grim Tangle and the Crypt? I don't think there is. It's level 3. The thing is, I don't think there's any guaranteed level 3s before the Crypt bosses. You get the level 3 from the Rust King, and I don't think there's any guaranteed ones after that. Yes, a support gem. Yeah, the event league's meant to be an econ reset. It's meant to be economy reset with a 1 month period. Well, it should, no, that's the wrong wording. It's not an econ reset, it's a fresh economy. In that it's a standalone league, is the way I understand it. So it's not resetting the current economy, it's just providing a fresh economy on a fresh league. And what people are surmising is that it will then get merged back into the Runes of Aldor League once it's done. But this is all theories and hypotheticals at this point. We'll find out, I'm sure, tomorrow.
Well, well. Who is this?
That adorns the Tree of Souls.
A sister in the Grellwood. Curious. Pathetic cur.
This rare witch is no cap one of the hardest probably rares you'll face during the whole campaign. So annoying, TPs every 2 bloody seconds.
You tarried too long here, sister.
Exit is typical. Oh, I might as well grab this. Planning an ongoing demon whenever next patch is and going straight for Expedition. Expedition and Abyss, I think, are the two best ones. Assuming they stay in the state that they're in at the moment. During THC, it actually blew my mind how much currency you can actually get from going into the Grand Expeditions with almost zero risk and just popping the chest markers. It's crazy how much, like, just raw divines and currency you get from that. And the monsters that spawn from those are super simple. So what was I thinking? There was the armor break on Sniper with the corrosion, but the corrosion right now doesn't give me anything, so I'm not. When else do I? So I get another support from the Druid boss, but that will go for. I do need one for Spell Cascade for Bone Cage. I need one for Brutality. I think the Brutality would help more early on. So So I believe the brutality then moves onto the unearthed minions as well. So maybe I'll see how this feels. It's good to have a plan for getting to the Demon Warp recoup stage, though, keep in mind, because as much as that is still, I'd say, loosely a League starter build, it does require a little bit of investment to get all the recoup that you need. You need the Sacrosanctum, you need the belt with the essence on it. And it typically comes online around level 75 or so. So you kind of need to make sure you're pretty comfortable getting to that point first. That's another thing I may have to consider before 0.5 is learning the layouts of these first couple of zones. And I've got like a rough idea of sometimes, but sometimes it just, you get it completely wrong and you end up spending about 15 minutes extra in this Act 1 because of just running around like a headless chicken looking for things.
Impudent undead.
Armor Stack Infernalist is an endgame build. Do not do that as a League starter. It requires way too much investment. It's definitely an endgame build. Yeah. If you have a look at my YouTube, I've got a guide on armor stacking in softcore. And I believe you watched how I did it in hardcore with less investment. But the softcore was like fully decked out, probably about 3 mirrors worth of gear. And yeah, it was the runic fork with the rune of hollowing. Alright, look, pretty much explored the whole map and it'll be in the very last place I check, won't it? That's a lucky support. When you say mana, I'm guessing you're meaning like mana stacking with Archmage. Yeah, there's ways to do that. I've considered it as well. But again, it's something that would require even more investment than just the standard armor stacker. Because you'd need those giga rings and things like that.
That voice. He sounds like fun.
theoretically it would be very strong, but yeah, you need a ridiculous amount of investment. Because basically the armor rolls that you'd be looking for would also compete with the mana rolls that you're looking for. And solving your resistances with all of that gear strain as well would be a bit of a challenge.
Very loud and very dull.
Good unique. There's a couple of uniques that come with a pretty high tier life regen roll. It's just anything with a good flat life regen roll would help. If you're twinking, Reverie is very good, but that, I believe, is quite rare. So you're not going to get that like on a fresh start. I believe Gore Girdle comes with up to 20 life regen. That would be massive, and it'll double your armor early on. Even with the 50% armor physical cap, it would still be very much worth putting on.
Hello. I like to hold on to bits and pieces. Any that catch your eye. It's beautiful. I accept. I will treasure it. Goodbye.
Area spot. If you find a pint out there, do bring it back.
Need my regex for later. Doing this super slow, by the way.
What happened here?
Not that I'm a very good speedrunner anyway. But once I just test some of this stuff out, I might do a proper run through, see how quick I can get it. I think the best time I've gotten with a pure physical setup is about 50 minutes before, but that was with quite a lucky one drop. Issue is I don't know the layouts. Maybe it's one thing I should, like I said, invest some time into learning.
I heard you.
So I got the bone cage set up the way that I wanted with the change that I typically don't run brutality, but we'll test it out with that. And the next support, which I'll get from the druid, I'll put into corrosion. And if I get one more beyond that, I'll put it into skeletal warriors for an armor break. And we'll see if armor break makes any difference on those middle bosses in Act 1. No, there's Goldhands, there's quite a few quite a few uniques that it's not about the unique ability granting something beneficial. It's more so some of them come with very, very good life regen rolls. So it's worth keeping an eye out for that.
The roots here have a mind of the faith.
Yeah, look, ultimately, if this was... This is the challenge from a build creation point of view. In terms of myself, if I was just purely doing it for speed itself, I'd probably just go EDC through Act 1 and transition to the plants in Act 2. But when it comes to kind of build creation, then doing a guide about it, it feels super awkward, like suggesting something like that. It's like, oh, hey, I've got a plants build for you, but by the way, you're going to be doing chaos through all of Act 1. I already get a lot of, like, friction from viewers from just using Bone Cage rather than Entangle in Act 1. The least amount of friction you can do in a build, the better it's typically received is the best way I can put it. So if you can generally keep along the same theme or thematic of the build, the better it generally is received. Yeah, this is the best. It's the only kind of repeating myself here, but you kind of get where I'm getting at. Man, the shield wall build was the biggest classical example of that. Ultimately, it became very, very popular, much more popular than I expected it to, even though I knew it was a very strong build. Oh, we do get a guaranteed skill gem in the league mechanic here. Ooh, okay, that's interesting. That's good to know. But anyway, I'm going back to the shield wall. Build. I'd be like, oh yeah, this is a league starter. You start it up at the, like, kind of the moment you get into maps. You can start it about level 60 on the trade league. And then when I had to tell people, I just level as plants or EDC, whatever, and they're like, they specifically needed a guide and some guidance, you know. People want a kind of one-stop shop, and that, I think, scared probably... Like, as popular as the build became, it probably could have been a lot more popular if there was some more melee-ish, shield wall-ish way to level and just go seamlessly straight into the endgame. But it was quite a dramatic. It's like you go full caster, and then pretty much at level 60, 65, the moment you get the Nebulok, you pretty much need to respec 80% of your tree. And a lot of people didn't play it because of that, because they didn't like that. Yeah, so typically, whether it's Remnants or another league mechanic, the guaranteed bonus drop in this case on the Remnants will typically be whatever the league mechanic or thing is in future leagues. I think there's a whole wiki or a cheat sheet somewhere out there on one of the websites which will tell you. Hold on, I'll pull it up. What was it? PoE2 campaign rewards. I think it was on Mobalytics or something like that. I think this might be the one. Oh, they're the permanent rewards. Which one was the up-to-date one? I think it was this. Hold on, Act 2. Buried Shrines. No, this is not the updated one. I think it might be this one. Kind of changed in 0.5. Mastodon Badlands. Yeah, this is the one. It's good to be aware of these, especially the lesser jeweler and greater jeweler orbs, which are super important for boosting your damage. Yeah, so it does seem we do get a second level 3, which may open up the potential for... Did I pick it up? Yeah. Or maybe the flame wall as well. I like doing Draven first, typically. Hold on, I didn't do the Druid, did I? Oh, no. Son of a bitch. I meant to do the Druid boss for the extra support. Grab those. Got excited by the League mechanic having the extra skill gem. I forgot to do the Druid boss. He'll probably be up there. He's typically near the end. As someone mentioned, in some respects, just getting the essence drain might be an option as well. Not using it for mapping, but just simply to throw it onto the boss for an extra dot. I do know that would work as well. Simply just having that as an extra dot to throw. And I don't want to, since I did take the sniper, I do want to try the flame wall combo. Because I do know the gas arrow with the flame wall does quite a bit of damage. Yeah, just having something ranged typically helps quite a bit. On the, where the hell is this druid? Normally he's like near the start. Well, the thing is, if there is a guaranteed skill gem, then just throwing Essence Drain on for the boss fights is pretty simplistic. It's probably more simplistic than going, get the sniper, get flame wall, and do the combo with the gas arrow. You know, that's probably more complicated than, hey, just throw a... Hold on. God. Talking and concentrating. So this is actually, I don't really like snipe in the sense that it just dies in like a second.
Such nonsense.
I'm already kind of disliking this sniper play. They just die way too quick. I don't like it. I want to try the armor break on this. Oh, you don't get armor break until... Okay, we'll try the corrosion. We'll try it. Yeah, I tried the attunement, but on bosses, it just takes way too long to get the ignite to happen. I literally put the fire attunement on a little bit earlier, Slim. So I was aware of that as well, and it was doing practically no flammability damage at all. Just couldn't ignite it. Don't know if I was doing something wrong, but yeah, it was doing almost nothing. Yeah, I do remember it was like giga broken at one point. Essence Drain might just be the plane. Can't say I'm thrilled with that idea. The brutality does feel good on the bone cage. The only issue is, like I said, if you do happen to get a wand with a lot of gain elementals, it's going to run counter to that a little bit. Actually, Orb of Storm, the only issue with Orb of Storms with the physical setup of the bone cage is the bone cage doesn't trigger the extra projectiles from the Orb of Storms, because I believe you need to fire a projectile in order to trigger the extra orb sparks. Correct me if I'm wrong. Although the shock it would apply. But that's why I normally go the lightning bolt star. It's for the shock as well. That's the other thing. Maybe I just go back to doing the lightning star play that I've been using to date. And just add in frost bomb as well, just to buff that further with the exposure. But again, you know, it's kind of a bit of a complicated path. Telling people, oh, you need to go to the vendor, you need to buy this specific staff. It just feels really yuck doing that. Yo, Congley, what's up?
Where are you hiding?
Again, Entangle, Living Lightning you don't get until Act 2. Like I said, everything beyond the midway point of Act 1 is not a problem. I can maybe refine it a little bit more, but it's a very, very seamless playthrough. It's just this Act 1 period where Bone Cage is just a little bit, to be blunt, shit on these middle bosses. We'll see how it feels like with brutality. I'm deliberately using a shit wand as well. I'll go back to town and I'll get something kind of mid... I'll do it now, actually. So I do typically do that when I finish rusking.
Hello. These are just some odds and ends of mine. It's beautiful. I accept.
Nothing. Oh god, there's literally nothing here. Like, I'd probably get like this +1 in this case, minion. Actually, that's not a rattling. Oh, that's crap. Literally no wand options. See, like, this would technically be the best wand option here, but it's the brutality would negate that prefix completely.
May it serve you well.
Chaos. Oh god. We'll see how it feels. Yeah, that is a good point. Volcano with Burgeon. Maybe I do try that out next. I'll see how Bone Cage feels with this brutality in it and the sniper with a little bit of armor break. And this is like a fully worst case scenario. Like literally using my starting wand. This is the thing, I love Bone Cage because from mapping, like look at this, I'm using the starter wand And it practically one-shots packs. It's just that the bosses are a little bit sketchy. And again, it's just the first couple. Doesn't this have like a guaranteed skill or support gem? Not that I want to rely on finding this every single time, but I'm curious. Support gem, okay. Well, that's good to know about at least if I do need supports. Maybe last gasp, make them last longer. This playthrough has been a prime example of how bad I am at the layouts and what kind of impact it has on your run. And this is softcore. I'm just trying to optimize my leveling strategies. I'm like happy with 90% of things. It's just the early parts of Act 1. Oh my god, 2 rares, one with slow. What the hell is going on? And I think there's room to potentially optimize the Act 3-ish onwards as well. Okay, let's see how Bone Cage... Starter Wand, slightly better Rattling Scepter, ultimately really shit gear, but we've done a little bit of difference with... Does that break any armor? Bugger all really, doesn't it? Wow, it broke a massive 6 armor. See, the sniper's dead already. See, this is the awkward thing. Like, if you don't dodge the abilities, it's quite easy to die, because you have to sit on their face, really. Can I position these snipers so they don't bloody get hit by everything? Stay here.
You are not long for this world. Cut down. I will end your meaningless life. These spirits are mine. Rend your soul. I will end your meaningless life. Rend your soul. I will end your cut down. Rend your soul. Your meaningless life ends now. The spirit's hunger. Your intrusion will be punished.
Oh, that combo hurts. Oh shit. Nah. Maybe if I had a better wand, wouldn't be too bad. Okay. I'm never gonna have the starter wand, so let's upgrade that.
Yes.
to at least maybe is there at least a staff with some stats on it? Like there's literally no damage stats on any of these weapons. What the hell is going on?
I suppose I can let that one go.
Spell damage, okay.
Stay safe.
How does that feel? This is the prime illustration of why I typically avoid using Bone Cage on these bosses. Very little farming Kongli, but I kind of want to simulate a... I'm not a speedrunner. I don't know how to speedrun because I don't know the layouts, but I want to simulate being as quick as I, within my capacity from a layout point of view, can do the campaign. And what I've typically done for these two crypt bosses as well as Lachlan is I will typically get a level 3 lightning bolt staff and just sit at range. The thing is the fights take a kind of long while. Kind of comparable to this speed anyway. And I kind of want to make a guide for the leveling for 0.55, which doesn't involve doing like quirky shit. That wasn't too bad. 50% more spell damage. See how the next two bosses go. I don't know, I just would love to have like a... like a simple way to do these bosses without having to weave quirky shit in. God, something... eyelash in the eye. I think just getting the brutality on the bone cage, even though that support's then going to be thrown away not too long later. And I think just getting the essence drain for the other level 3 that we get from the Grim Tangle, just as an extra dot to throw on bosses, I think that will probably be the simplest play that doesn't overcomplicate things and doesn't rely on vendor shenanigans or weird combos. Yeah, and I do like using Zenith later on, so yeah. Yeah, I think that will be... I think Essence Drain will be ultimately the play. If that... Grim Tangle guarantees that level 3 gem, then yeah, I think Essence Drain for that is just the way to go. Oh, wand. Oh, see, that's a good wand. I won't put it on though. +1. Thing is the gain, the brutality would completely cancel out the gain. Seriously, this run through layout reads from me have been quite literally worst case scenarios. Last places I've looked almost in every single zone. Does anyone know how much time it takes to learn these layouts? Like Red Veil. These crypts. There's the campaign codex Discord. I might have to spend some time researching some of this.
Show me your power, dear sister. Rise of the fourth moon. My love, I call to you.
Bone Cage isn't too bad. If I had the ED woven in there, it would be probably 5-10 seconds quicker as well.
I hate to put down a sister witch, but you had it coming.
Could probably get away with not having to do the lightning bolt stuff. See how Lachlan feels.
You have the key. At last, it's open.
Yeah, I do have the campaign. There's a spot that you can stand for this guy, I think, where you don't get hit. Is it this? Oh, definitely getting hit here. Oh god, I could have sworn that's going to hit me. Yeah, I think with ED it'll be fine. Like, that was with really ordinary gear and it wasn't too bad. Yeah, let's try it with ED. And after this, I'm going to try some Act 3 stuff with potentially tweaking the passive tree and leaning a little bit more into the Living Lightning and Wolves damage. Should have some characters around level 40, I think, left over, which we can jump on. Yeah, I typically going, that's what I have been doing up until this point, Contagion, Entangle for my first two skills. The thing is, Entangle's really horrible It's more just kind of a little bit of a, add a bit of a slow, does very little damage. But I will be doing that in this case because I don't get the ED until the level 3.
Dead rise again. Oh, I'm going to like it here.
I remember having this discussion with Rabbit because he was facing the same issue with his build guides. I think he ended up
I welcome it.
biting the bullet and going with the volcano route and getting Entangle, and it kind of, he actually forced himself to use Entangle through a lot of Act 1. Even though I did recommend to him the Bone Cage approach, and I do know he liked the Bone Cage approach. It's just like I said, even that from a friction standpoint for a lot of more casual players is a bit much. It's like, oh, you plants, but I'm playing Bone Cage early. It's like they don't quite get it. I don't think the hit damage would be enough. Like, I don't know, dots are just horrible with small investment. At least in my experience. I think Brutality is just a play if there's no gain on the weapon. If there's good gains on the weapon, then just go with what I was doing before and getting Zenith.
My first taste. Impressive size, but little acuity. Dismal.
Helton, please come.
What's with these early items?
Is this all that remains?
Renly's then. There's a beast that... Now, if you could take a look. Till next time.
A kind leader. Hopefully he survives. This half-wit is in need of rescuing.
Thanks for the help. Name's Farah.
Thing is, I don't think a dot would outweigh the benefit you get from a 25 or 30% more multiplier from Zenith or Brutality.
Fine team. Good on.
Invader! Be still! My pet's hunger! Be still!
Not gonna factor in lucky drops. Full damage cast speed. Let's see if I can find this camp for once quickly. I'll always typically buy an upgrade. You can always afford one before you get to the crypts. There's There's the Growlwood at least. Where's the... Can I find this camp for once quickly? Thank you. But yeah, ED does, if you do have it, happen to have a Withering one with Chaos Bolt. But the thing is, I probably wouldn't be casting the Chaos, but I'd still be casting the Bone Cage because it's more damage. I'd just be throwing on the ED for a bit of extra dot damage.
Magic swirls about these roots, but where is the source? Who is this that adorns the Tree of Souls? Death and decay!
Exit is typically around that boss. Well, clearly not. In this case, maybe it's up there.
Mushrooms everywhere.
Which means the witch's hut should be somewhere here. Is that reflective of typically where the positions are? Yeah, red veil bottom, so red veil should be that way. And the hut should be... I am curious, does this reflect it? A little bit. Witch's Hut, Tree of Souls, Bramble. Is this tree seriously blocking all my hits?
Death and decay.
Yeah, I might have to watch some of his VOD.
You tarried to
I'm also on a Discord with him as well, amongst some other people, so could probably hit him up and potentially get him to give me some pointers. It's mostly just Act 1, because it's kind of nice to get through Act 1 as quick as possible. For no other reason other than also just getting away from the server lag, because you'd be surprised by...
and rust.
Oh, I forgot to get the entangle. That would have helped a lot. You'd be surprised how much kind of area load lag that you get going between the Act 1 zones while the whole player base is in those areas at the start.
A lovely creature.
You can't take pounce until Act 3. So until you get the level 3 support skill gem. Pounce is a level 3 ability. And I need that first level 3 for Bone Cage. I'd be able to take it for the next ability afterwards, but we've kind of talked about testing out ED. And you don't need Pounce in order to do Wolf, you just need a Talisman. And I always check for Talismans. Although I'm just not focusing on that kind of right now. If you're lucky, you can get a white Talisman from Renly the moment you get into Clearfell. It's always worth checking him very quickly. It's for plants. It's just for ironing out the start for plants. Because on my 0.5 guide, I had pretty much like either get lucky and get a good wand with plus levels, or get the Thunderbolt staff. But I'd like to not do the Thunderbolt staff method because asking people to kind of vendor for specific items feels a little bit yuck.
That voice. He sounds like fun. None can oppose me.
I actually should highlight talismans in my filter so I can see them better if they drop. I should be even picking up stuff like that. But a level difference always helps a little bit.
And very dull.
No, I won't get any plus level stuff.
Go make a legend or two.
Welcome all this. These are just some odds and I will treasure it.
Cute girl.
Yes, I've collected. Oh, I like this one.
That wasn't it. Where did my regex go?
Finn makes fun of my collection, but I think it's charming.
Like, typically I would look for something on this back and then potentially once more during the crypt. Ideally getting a plus levels, like plus spell damage is always something.
That one go. Bye.
Just to help out a little bit.
Furious.
The tree must bend to my...
But we'll try the ED. Just need to find the remnant in Grim Tangle and then we'll see how that feels for the 3 bosses. Focus. What's up, Heb? What's that word after focus? Not sure what you're saying. Still not quite sure what you're referring to about the focus. Is that a unique focus? 20 element in chaos, 20 fizz in chaos?
Stick to the cairns.
Sorry, what are you referring to? Is that an item or ascendancy? Not sure what you're referring to by a pep focus. Can you link me a POB of what you're talking about? Okay, so it is a specific. Don't think I've ever looked at this before. Okay. So here's an interesting thing about the wording in PoE. Taken is different from conversion. So, oh god, I don't have the. If I bring up Infernalist, which Infernalist. So have a look at Altered Flesh in the word. Actually, no, it is taken, isn't it? So that is the conversion. Taken is sometimes also the damage at the very end. So this is a conversion. All right, good. Yeah. From a purely defensive point of view, you're going to get a lot more out of your armor applies to LE damage. The only thing is, what are you giving up? Like, your offhand, you can more than double your damage with a good focus. Yeah, but that still improves your armor applies to Ellie. It still improves your armor applies to Ellie. If you're going an armor stacking build, this still improves your armor against elemental damage because it's converting a chunk of the top end damage away from your elements into another source. Any conversion will ultimately improve your armor. It won't improve it won't do anything for your physical damage reduction, but it'll improve your elemental damage reduction. But the thing is, at what cost? This focus is giving you practically nothing else. You're giving up a lot of damage, and this is probably not a high enough conversion to justify it, to be honest. I have moments where I question whether the Cloak of Flame, for instance, is worth using sometimes, and that's a 50% conversion. And the thing is, this has less value, kind of as Goldhand was alluding to in some respects. The reason why the physical damage conversions are much more sought after or worth a lot more is you have to think of it this way. How can I word this in a clean fashion? I think it may be time for some paint. Hold on. Why is it not bringing up the menu? Can you guys see my fabulous paint canvas here? God, is my paint just lagging the hell out? Hello? Wow. I don't think I've ever had paint crash on me before. Okay, if I can... How do I turn this into dark mode? God, my PC is struggling. Excuse a bit of flashbang there. All right, you've got physical, you got fire, lightning, cold, and chaos. The thing is, from a mitigation point of view, you've got armor calculations, which are done first, and then you've got resistances, which are done next. Very simplistically, in terms of mitigation layers. The interesting thing is, these 4 sources of damage already have resistances. To mitigate them, and they typically have no armor, whereas physical will have armor and typically no resistance. So all 5 damage sources here by default have a mitigation layer. What armor applies to Ellie and damage conversions do is the goal typically is to split the damage in order to benefit from both layers, and in the process also bring up the value of your armor or effectiveness of your armor, because the smaller hit, the more effective armor is. So that's what conversions also serve. But what armor applies to elemental does is provide mitigation here, here, and here. Armor applies to chaos, provides mitigation here. And conversions from physical to elemental sources kind of redirected into here, but you can think of it as adding a resistance layer to your physical damage as well, which allows you to double up on mitigations. And why that's good is typically each of these is always capped at 90%. So then going like, if you can, in an idealistic sense, if you ever were talking about maximizing your mitigation, you'd cut it down by 90% first through your armor layer, then 90% on top of that 90, which results in a lot more mitigation than the 10% damage left over that you would typically get through one of them. Probably getting a little bit too detailed here. The reason I brought all this up was that going back to this item, the reason this has a bit less worth than a physical conversion is that these elemental sources already have resistances. And if you're stacking armor and got armor plus early, you've already got this layer. So you've kind of already got both layers. So the only real benefit that this line is giving you is by knocking down the total hit of elemental damages and kind of boosting your armor effectiveness, but it's not really giving you an extra mitigation layer. Whereas a physical damage conversion into an elemental source is adding this layer which you typically don't have, as well as reducing the size of the hit and making your armor more effective. I probably explained that really, really horribly, but hopefully it makes sense to some people. The key thing to take away is that there's 2 mitigation layers generally in the game, armor and resistances. The elemental and chaos sources start with resistances, have no armor. Physical starts with armor, has no resistance. Conversions add basically a resistance layer to your physical damage by converting away the physical damage into an elemental source, which can then go into the elemental resistances. It also drastically brings down the size of the hit, which makes your armor mitigation portion much more effective. Elemental and chaos starts with elemental resistances but has no armor, but you get the armor applies to Ellie and armor applies to chaos rolls on your gear and the passive tree, and that adds that in. And then you get the 2 layers. Anyway, that was seriously so badly explained, but hopefully that made some sense to someone. Is there any other way to get free companions other than Spirit Vessel, Wolfpack, and Asmeri Wolf? Infernalist does come with the Hound, which is a companion. That's actually what I did in Hardcore to get 10% damage reduction. Beyond that, not sure. Nothing comes to mind, but then again, I'm not really a minion expert. Oh, support gen just in time. Why am I backing myself into a corner? Is Roa counted as a companion? Again, like I said, I'm not a minion expert, so I'm not sure. I think it's just the capturing. Yeah, like you said, you need the Asmeri Wolf regardless, because you need the Sylvan Scepter.
Such nonsense.
So what was the plan? I had to find the remnant here for the essence drain. I think it's just before the exit, isn't it, typically? You could get the hyenas from the talisman if you do the weapon set bug. If you're using Sylvans in like your weapon set 1 and then use the talisman in weapon set 2 and use a rune which has a limit 1 between them, you can do the bugged weapon set 2 stuff to get the hyenas. Yeah, I respect that choice to avoid. Yeah, there's a, if you're not aware of it, Gaff, there is a weapon set 2 bug. If you have your weapon set 2 weapon with a granted skill unusable, which is you can typically do by using a rune which has a limit 1, which is common between both sets, you can get the skill granted on your weapon set 1. Okay, you do get this. That's very cool. But it is a bug, and I would be absolutely shocked if it survives the 0.55 patch notes. So we're doing, what was it, Essence Drain for a bit of added supportive damage with probably the Zenith, which we can then reuse later. I think that was the plan, wasn't it?
These are just some odds and ends of mine.
Absolute trash.
Oh, I like this one. Goodbye.
Actually, I want to simulate this like with actually not even vendoring a weapon. Let's see how this feels just with like absolute trash gear.
Hiding.
You can feel good with crap, then
You're not going anywhere.
it'll feel good with a lucky drop. Oh god, these Eternal Knights are yuck. Oh, 2 Eagles. Oh my god, I got the right direction for once. Okay, so this is like with... Okay, a little bit of spell physical on the focus. No rings. This is real trash. Yeah, I think ED's the play. Just from a pure simplicity point of view, like that was pretty
Give it a rest.
comfortable. You can go out at range, throw some out every time. It's safe to jump in. You do the bone cages, which do a lot of damage. And that was with, like, honestly, the worst possible weapons you could probably, yeah, ideally you would have a lot better wand. We'll try the next 2 bosses as well.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, may as well. Like, I'm not a massive fan of using bugs. If that was like at the start of a league, I'd be kind of advocating against the use of it. But we're 3 months in, 0.55 is around the corner. Have a little bit of fun with it while it's there, because it surely will be gone very soon. I don't think you're harming anyone using it at the moment. No one quote me on that, please. I always try and stress to people, it's a bug, it's not intended. Use it at your own risk, but we're pretty deep into the league at this point. So, what you need to do... Let's see if I can just YOLO. There we go, bit of spell damage. You need, so in your case, you'd be having the Sylvan in one weapon set and you'd have the Talisman in your second. Then along with the Sylvan, I'm assuming you're using something else in your weapon set one along with it for either your main handle, like some shield or focus or something like that. You need a rune which is limited to one, which is common on your weapon set 1 and your weapon set 2, which renders the talisman unusable. It'll be like redded out and it will literally say this weapon is unusable. Then with weapon set 1 enabled, you want to either zone into a new zone or log out and log back in. And what happens is the skill on that unusable item in your second weapon set, for whatever reason, it's a bug, will become usable in your weapon set 1.
Death is my power to wield.
I hope I'm, like, using up all my layout bad luck on these experimental runs, because seriously, today, it's literally been the last place I've checked for a lot of these zones where the thing is.
You're not going anywhere.
Needs to be limit 1. Specifically, it means, like, if you have this rune in 2 different places, one of the weapons is gonna not work. And you want that for your second weapon set weapon, which in this case I would assume to be the talisman for you. Trying to iron out my Act 1 for the Crypt and Lachlan bosses. I think what we've settled on is rather than getting the lightning bolt staff, which is a little bit of a quirky thing to do, we figured out there's a guaranteed level 3 skill gem in the Grim Tangle. So we're just throwing in Essence Drain. And that, along with the Bone Cage, seems to be going pretty good for those bosses to kind of iron out that point. And once I finish this run through for those bosses, just to confirm the Essence Drain's feeling good, which will take probably another 5 minutes, I want to jump on a character which is in Act 3, around level 40, and experiment with how it might feel to buff up the Living Lightning minions and Wolfpack minions a little bit as well, on a more progressed version of the leveling build.
Is my power to wield.
What is the support that I use later on, which I could potentially throw on Essence Drain if I did run into this scenario? Got the Bone Cage. What do I normally use? I do use a Rapid Casting typically. I do use Zeniths. I do Burgeon on Bone Cage, although Burgeon doesn't apply to, only applies to channeling. Oh, what else is there? Unleash potential. Do I use Unleash at any point later on? Not really. Probably just a rapid casting. Corrosion. But Essence Drain doesn't do any poison damage, does it? Unless I did a poison. That is a... But then I'd need more dex. Concentrated, I think, stops the spell cascades from overlapping. And it's not a massive damage boost anyway, compared to 30% more damage compared to 25% from the brutality, and it massively diminishes. I'd have to swap it in for bosses, and then I'm pretty sure that the overlap area would control destruction. Yeah, is probably actually control destruction would be an well, brutality. As long as I don't have a source of gain on the weapon, brutality is the highest damage beyond Zenith. Zenith is the highest amount of damage with 30, but you need to maintain your mana, which you can do with your mana flask, but it is a little bit inconsistent. But I tend to normally go with Zenith in most of my setups. Brutality is next with the 25, but it cancels out any gains on your weapons, any elemental or chaos gains. Concentrated is a high boost, but then you don't want to run that for mapping, because you don't want to be reducing the area of effect of your bone cage. And I'm pretty sure even for bossing it would reduce the area to a point where the spell cascades aren't overlapping, so you don't get the 2 hits or 2 or 3 potential hits in the one cast. So, like, if you have a look at if I can get into an open area where nothing attacks me. You can see it kind of overlaps, and if you get a mob in that overlapped point, 2 of them hit it, which is a pretty big damage boost in and of itself, not just the extra spread that it gives. So going back, what was it is there anything I can throw into here? Poison and corrosion would be an idea. But then I don't have the dex for that, so that rules that out. One of the attunements is possibly a play. But then again, I'm not going to use that later on either. I'd probably just throw on the rapid casting, because I'd be using that later. Just cast it out quicker. Kind of just don't want to be wasting supports. Arcane Surge used to be super popular. I can't remember what they did to nerf it. Did they nerf it, or did it just fall by the wayside? I can't remember, but I swear people used to use it a lot. Some endgame builds use it. I believe some mana stacking builds use it occasionally. I know blood mages used it at some point with the life converting it to life regen. Yeah, ED definitely feels good. I think that's the winner.
I hate to put down a sister witch, but you had it coming.
Especially if that Grim Tangle level 3 is always available. irrespective of what the league mechanic is, then yeah, it's just as simple. Don't need to worry about what you're going to get in the vendor. Throw it on, and it's a supportive ranged spell that you can weave in between casts. Like, I don't even have fantastic gear here, and it's feeling pretty good. What's the spot? I believe there's a spot you can stand which kind of he can't hit you in. I remember speedrunners would like stand in a specific spot somewhere here, and they pretty much avoid the majority of damage.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, ED feels really good. Good idea, guys. Can't remember who was the first person to recommend that, but kudos. Alright. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's have a look at some Act 3 stuff now. That definitely feels 100% better than vendoring for a specific staff. Okay, so where do we have? We've got Act 3, Matland Waterways, level 37. That's the Spark setup, so we want a physical one. Do I have something? 53. Interludes. 41. And a 46. That's Act 4. Probably grab this one, although we'll have to... It's been migrated, so I should have access to some gems and stuff. Actually, no, I may jump on the 41. You off, Gold Hand? This is a physical setup. Oh, cool. Holy shit, these stash. Oh, this is with some pretty horrible gear, which will be a good test.
I must keep calculating.
Set up the base stuff. Shit. Because you need something. What else are you using along with the scepter? Gaffo, what are you using along with the set? A two-handed mace. I'm using Giant's Blood with, so both are used to convert to dex. You... Oh, it's a martial weapon. Typically, I use the Rune of Hollowing or the 5% gain every element, but I'm not sure that can be used in martial weapons. You can. This is an option. Rune of the Sky. Yeah. P. Callie confirms. But yes, I typically use this one or the Rune of Hollowing. Are generally ones that can be used quite easily between stuff.
What have you learned?
Time to change plans.
Considered Zenith. Are there any sort of supports that you can put into Thunderstorm to buff the living lightning minions more? No, I was thinking more in terms of like, you know, like the minion type supports. They don't seem to be showing up here. Like, I was thinking, you know, something even as basic as like rapid attacks or something like that. That would buff the minions, wouldn't it? I don't know if they show the minion damage here, do they? It does allow it. Strange that it doesn't show up in the list of all valid. Or does it now? Oh. Very weird. Does anyone know if that actually applies to the minions though? Lightning attunement, yeah, good call. Because these living lightning things, what is it? Convert to lightning damage. I don't imagine they benefit from sources of gain damage, would they? This is the annoying thing with things like this living lightning. There's literally no tooltip anywhere illustrating the minion damage. Hit interval 0.35. Doesn't seem to affect that. No, that's the hit interval of the thunderstorm. I wonder if POB shows any info. What's his character name? Again we go. Okay, it does seem to show some info. Attack cast rate 7.1. Doesn't seem to do anything, does it? What was the other idea? One of the attunements. Okay, that seems to work. Because minions are always very specific, aren't they? No, you can you can generally put in rapid attacks into minions, isn't it? God, what's a minion build? Gazzy. Let's have a look at a Gazzy minion build. Twister leveling. What the hell? Come on. Come on, Gazzy. Okay, this will have something, surely. Why Twister companions? Yeah, see, they do put like rapid attacks into companion and wolf pack. Rage into the minions as well. Wow, it's interesting. Feeding frenzy. Does feeding frenzy work? God, these temporary minions are so weird to deal with. Like, I would imagine rapid attacks, feeding frenzy, and stuff like that would buff the temporary minions created by Living Lightning, but the POB, unless it's not supported in POB doesn't seem to do anything. The Lightning Attunement does. Oh, why did it deselect? Oh, oops. Lightning Attunement does do something, but the Feeding Frenzy doesn't, which is super weird. I would imagine it should. Like, does anyone know if this works at all? POB doesn't seem to be reflecting it. You can socket it in. Like, see? Like, this is what's super interesting. I can't socket it in if Living Lightning isn't in there, but if I put Living Lightning in there, I can put it in. Which to me would suggest that the game knows that there is a minion attack-based thing in there. Yeah, that to me would also, I would think that the game tends to associate this with this. Have you actually tested it, have you, Gaff, though? Actually, hulking minions is a interesting one, isn't it? That's a later... Tier 4. Should have a tier 4. What? No tier 4s? No, don't tell me. There we go. Let's go and have a look how they look without hulking and then with hulking. How did you test it, Gaff? How did you actually test it though? How do you know for a fact? Or was it just a case of it didn't appear to do anything? So how do they look? Kind of look a little bit bigger than the cursor. Okay, interesting. You can't put hulking in. Yeah, this is super weird. Let's see if I can drag one minion here. Oh, that's a lot. I don't think I'd be able to definitively say just from observation whether that's 15% quicker or not. From an attack speed point. But you're saying, Gaff, that stuff like, say, minions deal increased damage does apply to them on the passive tree?
Greetings.
I must keep calculating.
How can I?
Time to change plans.
I did want to test that out. Yeah, true. But you were saying that the passive tree should work, yeah? So things like minion damage on the passive tree should buff the living lightning minions, yeah? And what about scepter stuff? Like the allies have more damage or whatnot. Does... I don't know if he's got any here. Does this benefit living lightning minions? Stuff like this? Okay.
Be wary. Here to help.
So if I, for instance...
Don't drink the water.
Ugh, cast speed. I did want to test very quickly Wolf Pack with the Onslaught. So according to this, companions in your presence have Onslaught. How quick are they? Oh well, cool. Doesn't look like they're moving any quicker though, does it? But they do have the Onslaught effect there. Yeah, tech rods on Wolfpack is, or on anything that you're using loyalty on, is super good. How much damage do these guys do? Nothing at home about. I wouldn't be using it for map clear, just to add a bit of supportive damage for bosses. Because what I was thinking is I normally take this kind of tree approach. So I have this cluster accessible, so I can get some buffs to the companions, get Onslaught. I'm running around shapeshifted all the time. I could get this cluster with increasing my damage as well as the minions' damage, which then would also apply to the Living Lightning. This obviously doesn't apply to Living Lightning, but I've got the Wolf Pack. And this gives me armor, defensive buffs, or I could go the damage option, although this path's a little bit better. I could get these 2 points, very easily accessible. Some more minion damage. Could get the revive quicker as well from a quality of life point of view. Don't know how much that's really going to translate to. I don't think it's going to make an impact on bossing, on map clear. Living Lightning maybe, so maybe the minion damage stuff has more application than this branch since it applies to both. I wonder.
Quickly.
I must keep calculating.
Some minion damage. Don't need the revive quicker for now. Maybe actually.
I help? It's a long journey. The Kalgurans.
Doriani has one piece of
I wonder if we could get the Living Lightning minions to a point where they actually do something. Although not having any support ability to add the supports onto them is a little bit
What a lovely little nap. Pity it.
clunky. Supports are always the biggest source of damage increases, and if those supports on Living Lightning don't translate,
I suppose I'm off to. Do be careful out there.
it's not great.
G'day, newcomer. Name before you go.
Fog clear.
Keep it up.
Hold on a sec.
Hail. Here's what I've got. Pleasure doing business with you. Done. Have a good day.
Wonder if there's a world in which I'd use a scepter. So culling strike works? So this is the weird thing. Like, so some things work with the Living Lightning and some don't? Because I'm kind of... Isn't culling strikes only apply to attack skills? The only reason you can put it in there is because the Living Lightning's in there. This goes back to the similar thing of like the rapid attacks. You can't socket it in unless you socket in the Living Lightning. Which, like, I think, what was it, P. Cali, you were saying as well. That to me would imply that that support should be working with the Living Lightning minions. Culling Strike definitely only works with attacks. Like, if you take out the Living Lightning, you're not going to be able to put the Culling Strike in there. I don't think it would work with the Thunderstorm. And if it is working, it's working because of the Living Lightning minions, not the Thunderstorm. Otherwise, that's a bug. So many companions. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of these things are super hard to actually test and confirm for 100% certainty. Like, what other kind of attack-based stuff is here? I'm going to put in the lightning attunement because that seemed to work irrespectively. Oh, I need more deck.
What can I do here for a deal?
Vitality and clarity. That'll do for now. Some extra minion buffs in there. Not a lot. Kind of want to see how much damage the minions just do by themselves. Yeah, the thing is, we're deep diving into it, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to confirm it in any meaningful way. Because like you say, kind of those abilities are relatively chaotic, and with the nature of the game having the damage ranges, you can never really, with 100% accuracy, really figure out if something's buffing it or not. You can only kind of go by feel, ultimately. The fact that you can socket those supports in, though, for me, suggests that the game has some sort of correlation between the Living Lightning minions and those supports, though. It's still super weird, though.
Can't you feel it?
Not really any sort of meaningful damage to write home about, is it? I've kind of got them set up for armor break at the moment. I've got a lightning rune. What if I put the living lightning on? I have heard good things about living lightning on Entangle as well. This is for leveling Gaffo, so no access to lineage supports or anything crazy. It's just about improving. Well, the leveling at this point is pretty smooth respectively, but if I can kind of min-max it a little bit more. Really don't know if the living lightning is doing anything to write home about. The minions die too quickly then. Just about trying to buff what I already have, because I'm already running around with Wolfpack for the loyalty and living lightning for consuming impales. This isn't impressing me. I think I'll just stick with what I was doing before. I don't think it's going to be worth investing in these minion nodes. It really doesn't feel like it's going to outweigh just buffing my own damage. Kind of had a hope that the Living Lightning and the Wolf Pack would actually have some sort of meaningful damage, but I think it's just got to be purely supportive for extracting impales from the Bone Storm. So investing points into them from the passive tree point of view, I think it's just going to be a waste. Yeah. Yeah, it's a completely different story. For me, it's just about enhancing what I already have. Well, not enhancing, seeing if there is room to enhance what I already have. And I think the simple reality is, unless you're going fully into minions, then wasting passive points on buffing these kind of supportive minions, because that's the best way I can put it. They're supportive in the sense that I've got them in the build to extract impales from Bone Storm. And the damage from those impale extractions has got nothing to do with the minions. It just needs the minions to hit the boss, and that's about it. They have their own scaling based on the hit amount of hit damage that the Bone Storm does. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be worth using support points for them. This cluster maybe, because it's buffing my own damage in the same process. But even that, maybe, probably not. Yeah. Pretty much found out what I wanted for today, I think. Essence Drain was a good suggestion. I do like that in Act 1. With the guaranteed extra level 3 support from the League Mechanic and Grim Tangle, it guarantees that I can get it for those Crypt and Lachlan boss fights. And we've had pretty much absolutely trash weapons on that test run, and it felt pretty smooth. And that feels like a much more consistent and reliable way of doing those bosses rather than buying that Thunder Lightning Bolt staff from the vendors. Brutality was the other small change, just using that rather than Zenith. The only exception to that would be if I did happen to get a good weapon drop with sources of gain damage as elemental. And in terms of further on into the campaign at Act 3 and beyond, there's no point investing passive tree points from the look of it, at least on the surface. Unless there's some sort of tech which I'm missing and not aware of. Without heavy investment into minions, just putting a couple of passive points in to buff the pack is better spent on my own damage. Because any increases to my own damage is going to increase the impales, which is going to increase the damage extracting them is going to do. Yeah. Alrighty, shorter stream today, guys. So apologies for that. Kind of trying to conserve my energy and not play too much before 0.55 drops, because it's going to get seriously crazy once it does. Live stream tomorrow. Super exciting. What is it? About 4 or 5 hours from now, then plus 24 hours. So in about 29-30 hours time, we've got the live stream. I'll see what my energy levels are. I think it's at like 3:30 a.m. my time. If I'm on, if I'm watching it, then I may live stream it in case people want to kind of just chat while we watch it together. I'll maybe do like a predictions or hopes kind of list, little bingo card or something like that beforehand. Yeah, we'll see how we go. Anyway, thank you for tuning in as always. Let's have a look who else is online. As always, happy for recommendations of someone to raid. Oh, Rabbit's back online at Gamescom. Prada's on. I may just jump to it. All right, or Peroni. Yeah, Peroni, let's support someone smaller. Prada's got a shitload of people. Yeah, we'll jump over to Peroni. Yeah, thank you for the chats as well in the interaction, guys. Helped me work through a few things, some great suggestions thrown around and some ideas. And yeah, thank you. And likewise, have a good day, everyone. And I'll definitely try my best to, I'll just have a later coffee, and I think we may stream the live stream tomorrow. So if you're keen to join me, keep an eye out for that, but not 100%, but I'll try. All right, take it easy, guys. Thank you again.